Well, I was right about Echo. But before you watch any further, this video contains spoilers for episodes 7 and 8 of The Bad Batch. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video that predicted Echo leaving The Bad Batch because he would ultimately recognize the need to help the regular clones, his brothers, get the justice they deserve. The episode titled Clone Conspiracy picks up where the solitary clone did, so for all intents and purposes, we return to the big picture story of The Bad Batch after a few weeks of filler episodes. The show has been dealing with the future of the clone troopers since season 1 when Admiral Rampart ordered and personally led the attack that destroyed Tipoca City and every other city on Kamino. This followed months of diverting funds from the clone trooper program without Senate approval. The public was told that Kamino's cities were wiped out due to a storm. We'll come back to that storm idea later. Within the Senate rotunda, the senators discussed the idea of funding Rampart's defense recruitment bill. This is the bill that will fund the recruitment of non-clone troopers. Much of the Senate believes there is further need of a military, as there are plenty of uprisings around the galaxy. However, some, namely Senator Ryo Chuchi from Pantera, wonder what will be done for the clones as they're phased out, which is the question we've been asking too. Senator Chuchi is intent on helping the clones gain some sort of representation in the Senate, but she is plunged deep into the conspiracy of what really happened on Kamino. The clone trooper slip informs Chuchi that Rampart is covering up the Empire's true actions on Kamino. This leads Chuchi to investigate further, which puts her in the same danger that all who know too much find themselves in. Chuchi orders her guards to track down Slip in order to gain more evidence of Rampart's cover-up. While on the run, Slip calls for help from a contact he has, and to no one's surprise, that contact is Rex, who arrives too late to save Slip, but just in time to save Chuchi from Rampart's assassin. Before Slip is killed, he informs Chuchi that the evidence needed to prove the truth of Kamino is aboard Rampart's ship. Retrieving this evidence will be the goal of the next episode, Truth and Consequences. Now, there's a really important detail that may warrant a full video at another time, but the assassin is a clone trooper whose identification number has been wiped and appears to be brainwashed. Rather than respond to any of Rex's questions regarding who he was working for, the clone assassin bites down on a suicide shocker, something we saw in Chapter 11 of The Mandalorian as well. Before shocking himself, he proclaims himself a believer. Perhaps this assassin was a trooper who attempted to go AWOL, but the Empire caught him and did something to ensure unquestioned loyalty again, which really does beg the question, do the inhibitor chips work at this point? Could this be a hint to what is going on with Cody right now? Like I said, I probably need to do a separate video for this detail. Episode 8 begins with Omega attempting to meditate. She tells Echo that Gungi taught her how to do that. I wonder if it's hinting at her potential force sensitivity. The squad gets a transmission from Rex recruiting them to retrieve the command log from Rampart's ship that is docked on Coruscant. Now, this is the type of mission they've been waiting for. It's what we've been waiting for. Heck, everyone but Sid and Fee have been waiting for this moment. The moment when the Bad Batch are finally recruited to help in the fight for the fate of their clone brothers. And you can tell that Echo has been waiting for this. Now, I was right about Echo being eager to join this fight, but I was actually wrong about Hunter. To my surprise, he was reluctant to accept the mission because it would put them on Coruscant, the heart of the Empire, and truly risk their safety. Hindsight, I see how it makes sense for his character so far. Now, for the sake of this video, I don't want to break down every detail of this mission. You can hopefully watch it for yourself. Rex explains, though, that he knows how to get into Rampart's Venator, which is being retrofitted in the Coruscant shipyard. They're able to break in and acquire the copy of the command log that Slip created before he was killed. Once again, Tech really proves his worth in this mission. But during the mission, Echo expresses his surprise that Rex is on Coruscant, risking so much. I think he's really intrigued by Rex's willingness to risk so much to fight for his brothers and push back against the Empire. Perhaps inspired is a better word than intrigued. The real tension of this story happens in the politics that are coming to a head in this episode. Senator Bail Organa provides Chuchi with a helpful lead, telling her to follow the money trail that starts with Kamino Senator Halle Bertoni. Now, if you didn't know, Kamino spent most of its existence isolated from the rest of the galaxy. Only during the Clone Wars did they leverage their creation of the clone army into a seat in the Senate. So many senators did not give Bertoni much credibility at this point. Now, one thing I feel got downplayed in Season 1, but emphasized a bit more here, was the fact that most of the Kaminoans were actually killed off in the attack on Kamino. At this point, there aren't many left in the galaxy. Senator Chuchi and Omega meet with Bertoni while the rest of the Bad Batch retrieves the command log. The combination of the command log and understanding why the Empire diverted funds from Kamino months before it was destroyed will provide ample evidence against Admiral Rampart. The next day, the Senate gathers to put Rampart's defense bill to the vote. Senator Chuchi boldly accuses Rampart of destroying Kamino and lying about the truth. Thanks to the Bad Batch, she is able to provide the evidence and prove Rampart's crimes to the whole Senate rotunda. It was truly a chilling scene to watch the destruction of Kamino play out in front of everyone. But even more chilling was the arrival of Emperor Palpatine on the Senate floor. This doesn't happen often. Man, it was so good to hear Ian McDiarmid voicing Palpatine in such a chilling way. The truth against Rampart is so obvious that Palpatine assures everyone that Rampart will face the consequences for his actions. I wonder if that has anything to do with the title of this episode, Truth and Consequences. Despite this, it's not a victory for the clones though. Palpatine leverages the situation to push the defense bill regardless. He explains that the willingness of the clones to partake in the carnage of Kamino concerns him, and there is need for a new kind of trooper, the Stormtrooper. Okay, this was pretty cool. I hope you didn't miss that the birth of the name Stormtrooper came in tandem with the storm that destroyed Kamino and in turn the Empire's need for clones. Rex summarizes the key takeaways of these episodes when he says, Palpatine was one step ahead during the war, and he is still several steps ahead now. Palpatine wanted the truth to come out about Kamino because it painted a vicious picture of the clones, a picture that would push the Senate to favor his Stormtrooper program. This is similar to the way that Palpatine caused the Republic to turn on the Jedi. He orchestrated a conspiracy that made the Jedi look like traitors to the Republic who tried to assassinate him. Now, the public will see the clones in a very similar way. The episode ends with the Bad Batch realizing that the fate of the clones is sealed. However, Echo decides that he cannot turn his back on the rest of the clones, so he decides to stay with Rex, who is continuing the fight against the Empire. It feels good to have predicted this, to be honest. These two episodes were long awaited after 3 weeks of side missions. But one thing I'll reiterate, even though the previous 3 episodes were filler, it doesn't mean they weren't fun. I said it before and I'll say it again, they were intentionally filler to drive the Bad Batch off of the sidelines so that they would do what they did in these last 2 episodes, which is join the fight against the Empire. Anyways, let me know what you thought of these episodes. I'm sure I missed plenty in the breakdown, but I think I got what you needed to know. There are a few topics that warrant some in-depth videos of their own, such as what was going on with that clone assassin, maybe the fate of the Kaminoans, and maybe Omega's potential force sensitivity. So if you're not subscribed already, be sure to do that so that you can stay up to date when I get these videos out. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and may the force be with you.